Right now, our good friends over at Southern Skies Dermatology bringing you the show tonight. Y'all go get checked for skin cancer. It's so important for all of us to get checked. And I think some of you, when I start talking about this, I mean, maybe you're young and you're fresh and you're not worried about it. That's an old people thing. I'm telling you, I had a relative in her 20s years and years ago to get a skin cancer right in the middle of her face. And because of the location of it, it was kind of a traumatic diagnosis because it had to be removed. But that's why you go, even benign situations like basal cell carcinomas, you got to have surgical removal done the best way. Mohs is the best way because it takes a lot less tissue. It heals up. Turns out her surgery was good and she healed up fine. It's the same thing as you go forward in life. Sometimes it can be dangerous if it's melanoma. Now we tend to talk about melanoma, but they remove all kind of cancers that just need to be away from your skin and off your body. They can also assess you for how frequently you need to come back and get checked. This is all they do is find and remove skin cancer, or either give people all clears, as for that matter. It's Southern Skies Dermatology, great locations here in town, or you can, if you want to wait around. Eventually, we'll all have a new location out in the 280 corridor, which I'm very much looking forward to. Southern Skies Dermatology. All right, let me start with the freshest news. We've got so many things that are worthy of discussion today, and we're just getting this news coming across that the agent, the only person that was shot in the assassination attempt on Saturday night was one of the Secret Service agents on site. And apparently, it is saying that they're saying now that he was hit by the suspect's gun. So there was mass confusion. And with the video that we saw, there's some clear images of that video today because the dude is running so quick. He had a plan. He was going to use speed to try to get past the first layer of security. Naturally, it ended the way it should have. But he did get that shot off. In one of the shots, you can see one of the agents. This looks like he kind of doubles over. Then he still gets into a shooter's position and pulls his gun. But he might have gotten popped with that shotgun that the suspect was carrying in the video. You can see it more clearly today. He had a pistol. It looked like maybe a waist harness. He had the 12 gauge Mossberg pump. He had all of these other weird little trick knives and stuff on him. But again, thank God he didn't make it too far. We're having a total different conversation today. We're probably hunkered down in a civil war today had he pulled that off. But that is interesting because the media kept leaning into bad information that somehow it was friendly fire because the cops were just shooting in all directions trying to stop this guy. Supposedly, they really were able to get on top of him because he tripped. He tripped and fell with his speed. So, yeah, he was fast, but he was a little clumsy. So, what do you know, AJ? What's up, man? I hadn't even had a chance to chat with you yet. We went right into Trump today.
Yeah, we did. It's going to be a busy show today.
It's crazy. Okay, let me run through some things. I just got this random list, and I'm going to start hitting some of the headlines, and we'll set it up almost like it's the beginning of the show. First up, the part of the DHS funding bill just passed the House a couple hours ago. That goes straight to the president. That purportedly funds Homeland Security, which, by the way, are these Secret Service agents as well. And it funds ICE for the next 3 years. It was kind of an end run that the Senate had to do around the blockade being thrown up by the Democrats in the Senate. So that happened today. Here's another issue that it was not on my radar, but it's a good thing, and it's still got a long way to go. But the House today passed the Farm Bill, and in that, I'm sure there's a lot of pork and fat in there because they do that. But there had been these liability shields against pesticide companies that make the pesticides that the farmers put on our products. And it's those pesticides that a lot of people believe are poisoning us. Even if we think we're eating healthy, your grandma told you, eat your vegetables. And I know when I get on certain diets, I eat a lot of protein and vegetables, but it's those same field-grown plants that are brought up with all kind of, in addition to being GMO seeds and all that, a lot of stuff is put on them to get them to make it to market. And the companies that make these products have something that's just generally known as a liability shield. It's hard to sue them. So in the House version of the Farm Bill today, they stripped out the liability shield, which means it makes those companies now more accountable to what they put on our food if their products are used on our food. Now, again, it has to get through the Senate, and the Senate's a quirky place these days, and we will see where that goes. But of all the stories we've had like two or three main stories in the last couple of weeks. A lot of it to do with Iran, but that's an important thing. I think this Maha stuff is probably more important in our daily lives than a lot of the other nonsense that we want to talk about, such as Epstein's back in the news. Have you heard about the suicide note?
Yeah, I
Have you
just
heard
saw
about
that.
this? Apparently, we didn't know about this. He left a suicide note. Oh, do tell. So the New York Times is one of the publications that claims that they've somehow discovered it. It was locked up in some court where they wouldn't put the note out, but there was a note. I don't know what's in it yet. Just the knowledge that there was some piece of evidence after all these years of scrutiny over the Epstein case that of all the things in the world, now maybe a fake suicide note, Hillary might have gone ahead and written it herself ahead of time. Just saying, things are possible nowadays. So there's that. We'll update you on that if there's any other developments that come out about that. Then here's another weird thing that I didn't expect in the news today. I mean, I expected news about Iran and I expected economic news, but this Greg Biffle, the NASCAR driver, have you heard about this thing, AJ? I'm putting you on the spot today.
Yeah, you are.
So this pilot, remember Greg Biffle was the NASCAR driver that died in the plane crash with his family. Well, now they've gone in and arrested one of his friends who's also a pilot. It was his pilot that piloted the helicopter when he helped with Hurricane Helene rescues. Biffle came out like a hero during all that. He went in with his own resources, got his pilot, took stuff to people, helped people out. They've gone in and arrested his pilot and the pilot's wife on suspicion that immediately after Biffle died in that plane crash, that they broke into his financial systems and even into his house and stole tens of thousands of dollars. At one point, somebody estimated at hundreds of thousands from his accounts. So, I mean, the plane's still cooling off from the fire. And these guys, in a coordinated plan, went in physically into his house, got into his system, changed his passwords, drained money from his accounts, and now they've been busted stealing money from the Biffle estate. Here's the question I have, and it's what everybody's thinking, is was the plane crash a sabotage?
Well, according to TMZ, it says it could be like an inside job. It all could be connected.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Did he just happen to die, but these people recognized an opportunity because they were friends and knew the house, knew Biffle, they were part of his team, went in and ripped a dead man off? You know how sometimes people get shot in the streets and somebody will go through their pants, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that? Or did they set this whole thing up? This pilot would have had knowledge of the aircraft mechanics and maybe something that could have caused that plane to come down. I'm theorizing because I don't know and they haven't been charged with that yet. But now we've got this death mystery and this crazy side story, or maybe it is the story, with this Greg Biffle death. Now, I'm not a huge NASCAR guy, and I kind of have heard of him and didn't know much about him until after he died. But I do remember watching a guy walk through the mechanics of why the plane crashed. And a lot of it had to do with the failure of some systems and the pilot ignoring the warnings and continuing to take off. So what were those systems, and is it connected to any of this? I don't know. It's a mystery, AJ. I love a good mystery.
Yeah, where's the Scooby-Doo clan?
Mm-hmm. Man, let's see what else we got. Here, if I kind of throw some more intrigue on you, there have been a series of earthquakes. I feel like I'm just reading a menu right now. We'll dig in later. There've been a series of earthquakes around Area 51 in the last few days. There's just another big one this morning. What do you think it is?
Aliens.
Somebody spotted a weird craft over Joshua Tree, California.
Aliens.
And now just down the road, all of a sudden we got earthquakes. AJ's calling aliens.
Yeah, they're like, ooh, I think we overstayed our welcome. You know, maybe ICE found out where they were, and they were like,
they found out Tom Homan was in town. They just blow it up on the way out. Earthquakes underneath the ground. The ground is shaking around this mysterious UFO site.
Yeah.
Does it have anything to do with the scientists that are missing?
Aliens.
Are they destroying the program?
Aliens.
The aliens like, all right, gig's up, we're out. Burn it all to the ground.
Right.
Dude, I got stories like this all over the place. I got Comey. I got other political things. Oh, it keeps going. And I also want to be fair to the caller, so let's do that. Let's get a caller or two in here. We'll go to Jonathan on the cell phone. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, how we doing, Leland?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I just had a question. I got a cousin that works in South Carolina at a prison, and he said that they have a lactating room for the male inmates.
Oh,
Have
really?
you
So
ever
the
heard
male
of?
inmates can breastfeed?
Yeah, something
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
I
No.
didn't understand. I was like, explain why, and he goes, I can't.
In South Carolina of all places, they let
Yeah,
the
he
male
lives over
inmates
there in
relieve them.
Greenville, or right in Greenwood, South Carolina. He works in a prison. He's been there several years. I talked to him this morning. I haven't brought it back. I asked him this morning if they still had him. He said, "Yep."
Mm, mm.
So he told me that last year, and it just blew my mind. A lactating room for men.
Okay,
Oh my gosh!
so here's my question: are these women that are pretending to be men, and they do have the?
No, this is a male. It's a male prison.
Do they do it? You know, the left loves to change the language on things, and
I know.
one of the things in that arena, they quit calling women women and started calling birthing persons, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
then they tried to change breastfeeding to chest feeding, and it's subtle,
Really?
but they did it because of this stuff right here. Because
Yeah. And then if
the
you say it, they're hey, bothers them.
if you're a dude and you want to breastfeed
I'm offended. I'm offended.
if you want to breastfeed a kid like Pete Buttigieg with your little chest harness, they put these fake chest harnesses on with fake boobies, and
Yeah.
they breastfeed so they can pretend to be women breastfeeding to bond with the baby,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they call it chest feeding. So they now want all the people, including women who are naturally doing this, to all
I
call
kind
it
of read
chest
up
feeding.
on it online, and I guess a male you can lactate to a point under certain conditions,
Mm.
like if you're taking maybe a hormone, or there's certain reasons why you might lactate. It blows my mind. I've never heard of it, so it's
Thanks
all
for.
news to me. It's kind of
Thank,
like the fleecing of America. We're taking taxpayer dollars and building rooms and prisons for this.
oh,
Boy,
sure.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Thank you,
Uh,
Jonathan, for
I
ruining the
called you.
show with that.
Hey, I called you last week about my brother, and
I
we
remember
met
that.
with the investigators yesterday.
Oh, good.
They won't give us anything. They still won't even give us a report. No, can't do it. So
All right,
that's
Jonathan.
exactly the reason exactly the what they said back to us. Nope, we don't do that. So
Thank you,
just want to
buddy.
give you a heads up. Thank you.
All right, man. Thought we were going to keep going down the roads edge, and it kind of scared me just a little bit. So it's time to move on with the show. In addition to the other weird, quirky stuff today, I mean, yesterday I was dug in on this one story, and it was the Supreme Court ruling. I got so much today that's just baffling. Do you remember those weird jail escapes down in New Orleans where suddenly there were like 10 heavily convicted felons, dangerous, murderous felons that just got out of that New Orleans prison or jail down in the sheriff down in New Orleans came out and they did a news conference, and this lady had these gigantic like Star Trek glasses on. She had these lime green glasses. I thought, is that the damn sheriff? Is that the sheriff of New Orleans? And it was the sheriff of New Orleans. I went, okay, maybe I know now why they can't keep the prisoners in the jail. And now she's been indicted today on 30 counts of participating in some role in the investigation into that jailbreak, because there was another one right after that. And I haven't had time to go in and read all the counts. I don't know if she's accused of creating a situation so they could get out, or just trying to block the investigation of her incompetence as to why they got out. But either way, this George Soros funded ass clown in New Orleans finally got busted for that. It's like accountability week. It's been like 2 weeks of accountability over stupid stuff that we've been allowing to go down in this country, that people are finally getting a little bit of a little bit of retribution, I suppose, or a little bit of justice maybe on our behalf. Lord help us all. Man, I'll get on to more phone calls. And, well, I'll tell you what, I might be able to get Donna in here. But, Donna, give me a second. Let me, a little bit behind from that long presidential news conference. Let me talk to y'all about Lania's Furniture Company, LAUNIUS, Lania'sFurnitureCompany.com. Y'all, this is a wonderful furniture store. And right now, Reggie has told me, he reached out a couple of days ago and said, you know, we're going to do something fun because it's our 92nd anniversary, just as an incentive to get you to come by and browse. They're going to knock $92 off every $1,000 you spend at Lania's Furniture Company. You could easily spend a lot of money if you bought a whole grouping, or you're buying, say you're in the market to fill up a whole house or redo some things. That starts to add up. That's close to 10%. Not bad. Their prices are good all year long. So whenever they do discount something, it really is a great value because they don't sell cheap stuff. They sell stuff you're going to know. So, man, you could go in there and buy you a big Lazy Boy setup and get 10% off, or $92 per thousand to be precise, just to celebrate 92 years of the Lonniest name here in Alabama. They're in Kimberly, right off exit 280 off I-65 in Kimberly. Small town, best people you'll ever meet when you're trying to figure this stuff out. They're just so helpful, or they'll leave you alone, and you can be in there for hours. They are cool with it. Just get it right. Get in there and shop around in that store, which is the size of a airport. I mean, it's an acre of square footage under one roof. Go check them out this weekend. It's gonna be raining Saturday. It's good something to do. Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Let's get Donna in here real quick on a cell phone. Donna, what's up?
Hey, I got a question, and I had a brain fart, so I can't come up with what I think would be the answer. If the Democrats are wanting to expand the court, could we not, if we got rid of the filibuster, could we not make a law where the number was 9? Or because apparently, since it's been several different numbers, there's not a law that says that, or it's not in the Constitution that says
Well,
that.
the
The
Constitution,
Constitution says how many.
right? The Constitution doesn't say how many, and the number is really a function of Congress. It authorizes Congress
Uh-huh.
to set up the court, and that's as far as the Constitution goes. So anything that this Congress would do would not be bound by future Congresses because all the Congresses have to do is come in and undo it, unless you made it a constitutional amendment that the court number is set at 9 and will stay 9. And then you have to get that through the House and the Senate and be ratified by the states. It would take years to get that in place.
Okay, well, I was afraid of that, but I kept thinking that that's the way it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Have you heard about all the craziness going on in Gadsden?
No, what's happening in Gadsden?
Well, some man decided he was going to commit suicide, so he drove a tanker truck, 18-wheeler, off the Biggin River Bridge.
What?
And then last night, yes, this happened two days ago. And then last night, this guy was running from the cops and thought it was up around the Knoxville Falls area, and he thought he'd jump off that one of them bridges and get away from him. Only he jumped off the falls and killed himself.
Good Lord, what's going on in Gadsden, man?
That's what I want to know.
I don't know. AJ, I would suggest, as AJ said earlier, aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
Yep, maybe he saw an alien.
Yeah, it must be. Wonder if you got time for one other question.
If you go fast.
The Etowah County Republican Party kicked one of the guys off of the ballot for the Senate because 8 years ago, which their rule says 6 years, but 8 years ago, when he was a struggling college student, newly married, he got a job putting campaign signs for one of the Democrats and was making a little extra money. So they found out about it and kicked him off the ballot, although the rules in the official rule book said 6 years. And but anyway, now he's running as an independent, and they're fighting tooth and nail to keep that from happening. Of course, we got to get them a certain amount of signatures and all that. But let me tell you, Etowah County GOP is corrupt.
Yeah, a lot of times they just the whole party's struggling with this issue of creating. You're either got a country club or you're open to all comers. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it. And philosophically, look at what's happening right now with the governor's office. There are a lot of people that don't have the interest of the president in mind by being lazy and punting on this redistricting ruling. And I think those are a lot of cross-dressers that came from the other side. They're smart enough. So's the lobby community, by the way, to change jersey colors and pull for the right team that's in charge. That happens all the time in politics. But it's at a point now where Republicans don't know who, because they're the only game in town. I mean, the Democrats can't get elected statewide, mainly because the Democrat national brand has gone schizo. They're psycho. People don't relate to all that stuff here in Alabama. Black, white, green, I don't care. They've left some what I would call normal liberals, good friends of mine that would always vote Democrat, that just want to be in that party. They don't subscribe to what the Republicans do. They've been abandoned by their own party right now, and they don't have a good So they're finding another home and they're drifting over here to the other side. Their values haven't changed much. They feel like they've got to align with these Republicans. Now the Republicans feel like they're being put upon because Rodney Dangerfield is in the country club asking for jelly instead of Grey Poupon. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are purists, and there's a line that they're at some point they become elitist and exclusive, and it's self defeating. We can talk about that more later. Right now, quick break. Back in a minute. Y'all, here comes graduation season and Mother's Day and all these gift giving opportunities. Maybe you want to buy some just because bling over at Allen and Company or treat yourself. There is nothing wrong with treating yourself. It's Allen and Company over in Vestavia. When you get in there and get to know them, you get to know the whole family, the Thompson family. You get to shake hands with Allen. He's the guy that's going to design your piece, redesign your piece, create it out of nothing, or they can do something very, very custom to commemorate the graduation year or school colors. You can even have things laser etched, so you can put the graduation year on there. 2026. I know my graduation year. I thought it would never come. Now it's been 40 something years ago. That year's forever with you, right? When did you graduate? 2026. These kids will be saying that the rest of their lives. Commemorate that with something beautiful from Allen and Company. Maybe you just want to buy a little charm or a bracelet or something too for that graduate. They're ready for you. And anything else you're doing this spring, spring's a big time for engagements too. And this is absolutely the place you want to get that ring right. Take your time. There is no pressure because this is a two-generation family business that's just not there to put some corporate hype on you. They're there just to make you happy. They want you to get exactly what you want, so you keep coming back. It's Allen and Company over in Vestavia. I'm noticing King Charles is finally leaving. Is he leaving, going back to England? Is he done? I don't know what he pulled off, but Trump did remove the tariff on Scotch whiskey. At least that's a win. I saw that, thought it was funny. Okay, back here in a minute. Y'all stay tuned. It's 3:35. That's a good one right there, man. I'm kind of in a music mode because I'm going to watch my buddies in Cattle play tonight and all those other great
I
bands.
see you
over-
rocking the hat.
Yeah, they gave me this hat and I hadn't worn it. Didn't they give you both one?
Yeah,
Okay,
mine's is in my office.
I've just never worn it, and I thought I'm going to the show tonight.
Yeah.
My hair's kind of in a crazy phase right now, so I'm wearing a lot of hats, and so that's down in the Lakeview Marina tonight. If y'all want to come, it helps this incredible cause. I had Alan on this week, and he was telling us the event's called Jam Aid, and they're just aiding this group that raises money for scholarships for these kids with intellectual development issues that want to have a normal life. And Alan brought me to tears telling me the story about his son David and how he went to college on this program, and he's got roommates now. He's living in Tuscaloosa, working for the university, and they want other kids to be able to participate in that. It's just so cool. So if you ain't got anything to do tonight, tickets are only $20, and it's down at a place I've never been to called Lakeview Marina. So y'all come on down and support that cause. And then don't forget, just heard Richard and Val talking about our Jawbone Jam this year. You're going to hear us talk a lot about that the next few days. We'd really love y'all to show up. We got tickets available, IronCityBirmingham.com, or you can, of course, go to Ticketmaster and get those tickets. And you will never see this many. Excuse me, Edge, I had to sneeze. I can't hide that on the camera, but I can turn the mic off. That came out of nowhere. You won't see this many quality bands back to back like this. It's sort of a special occasion. They all agreed to play these shorter sets for our Jawbone Jam, which is our 10th anniversary. Y'all are our friends, man. We've been friends for 10 years, some of us longer than that with our show, bouncing around to different stations over the years. But this station alone, 10 years in business, trying to do our best for you every single day. And we'd love to see you. We'd love to just hang out. It gives me and Richard particularly more time to hang out with y'all since we're not having to be on stage. AJ's not. Are you DJing at all?
No,
you're not having to
no.
do that. We just turned it over to the pros this year.
Mhm.
Let the pro bands play. We'll be there with our live show set up. So if you can get there a little early, we'd love to see you. That'll give us more time to fellowship while we jam at Jawbone Jam. Again, May 15th, Friday night. We're all getting old, so we won't be up too late. Even these guys in the band, man, we're all old enough to where it ain't gonna be 2 a.m. to do it.
Right.
That is not happening, dog.
Mm-mm.
If
Now-
I'm up at 2 a.m, something's going wrong. The cops are at the house. Something's
Yeah.
going wrong.
Yeah, if I'm up at 2 a.m, I got a sick child.
That's a good, better way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. And now speaking of local stuff, let me get into this real quick because, man, this saga with the Bajacas restaurant group is just day by day. There seems to be a little daylight in some of the reporting. And let me give you the backstory. If you're not immediately from Birmingham, you may not care about this story, but forever that restaurant group, and I've met those guys once. I actually had a meeting with our general manager here in the market, James, over at Rodney Scott's one day. These guys were in there. So he knows them. He introduced me to them. The super nice guys. Everybody was having their little business meetings, and so we went our own way. I'm just a big fan of Rodney Scott personally and his brand and his barbecue, but they are a restaurant group that develop concepts, and then they replicate those concepts into nice developments all over. And for the concepts that have been kind of co-located with each other is this Italian restaurant, Luca Lugato, which is over in Homewood. I went there about 3 years ago. We had a family event there. And then they've got one similar to that over by me now. And then, of course, Hero Diner. It's an old classic diner setup. Of course, Hero's known for their donuts. They started as a donut chain. Then Rodney Scott's and Little Donkey. Little Donkey's, Little Donkey's been around for, I guess, 15 years or so. But they were aggressively developing these concepts into new areas, including out by me in an area called Valley Post that's near where I live. And a lot of folks here at the station are out that way. And they put those four together, and it's just been a great thing for the area that didn't have a whole lot of stuff. And then last week, just as I'm talking about them, they shut the thing down. Then they started shutting others down. And then we started getting these series of news stories. AL.com's been all over it, where they're daily, there are different people suing the restaurant group for their money. The real estate developers, a lender that backed some loans, a meat company that supplied supplies. It just seemed to be cascading. Today, they shut down the Homewood locations. That was the Homewood, as far as I know, I don't know the full history of the company, but Homewood, just down the street from here, is where a lot of these concepts started, and then they grew them out from Homewood. So they got popular in Homewood, and they grew them out. But today, as of this afternoon, and AJ had asked me this. I guess it was what, Tuesday, whatever day it was raining so hard. When I came into work, Little Donkey and Rodney were still cooking. I could smell it because I had to drive right by there, and now they're closed. They sent staff home. But here's the daylight I was telling you about, because I mean, I'm pulling for these restaurants to survive. They mean a lot because they are, I guess, quasi-local. Uh, some of them got farmed out over into Georgia, but we were the epicenter of all this development. Now, these are the guys behind Jim and Nick's, I believe Tzatziki's as well. So, so they know what they're doing, and they've been around a long time in the restaurant business, but it's a brutal business. And so today they put signs on one of the restaurants, and the employees there are being told, some are being told that it's temporary, that they may have a, quote, new owner coming. And the Italian restaurant, based on what I read a little while ago in Homewood, they were talking that it's going to be renamed. Maybe they're keeping their chef, renaming the restaurant, and they've got a new owner. So at some point, there could be people to swoop in, and these are great locations, well-built buildings, nice settings, good concepts. And I think if I had to guess, in the end, all of these will come back in some form or another. If not with the same names on them, they'll still be serving food and customers here in a few weeks when this gets sorted out, because it looks like the debt bomb just kind of piled up on them and got ahead of them, and they couldn't do a whole lot with it. So, man, it's such a good restaurant chain and group. I just hope they're able to get this figured out. So we'll keep up with it. It's a business story in addition to being a lifestyle story, because a lot of us go to those restaurants. I mean, I've hit all 4 of their locations out at the Valley Post location at least 3 times. I know I've been to Rodney Scott. My wife doesn't enjoy barbecue like I do, so I hit that by myself.
Right.
If there's ever any lunch days where I'm like, man, I'm hungry for lunch, I'm on my own today. I'm going straight to Rodney Scott's.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend in town who's a big barbecue guy, and we took him there a couple Sundays ago, and that was nice. But y'all, man, I in this economy with things starting to make a turn, you get a sense of that. With the markets today, the Dow was up 800 points. We're almost back to record territory. You can look at your 401k again. The markets have priced in the oil shock from the Iranian situation, and it hasn't even really been a shock. The prices have been ranging high, too high for us right now, but the Iranians have not been able to choke the world. Instead, we did some jujitsu on them and reversed that on them. And I've gone into the mechanics of some of that this week. Let me just talk about the UAE thing, if I can explain this as best I can. They have surprised the world, and I think the Trump administration has been working on this. How much time do I have? I think I can get this in about 2 minutes. So the UAE is part of OPEC. And if you're my generation, we used to hate OPEC because it was the oil-producing countries that got together and decided to really create an oil monopoly and be able to control the price of oil worldwide. Now, they've lost some strength on 2 things. One, Trump ramping up production here in the United States, and, of course, Venezuela coming back online. But it's one of the reasons that Jimmy Carter formed the whole energy department, which needs to be abolished. It's been a disaster. The idea behind Jimmy Carter's energy department, Congress eventually, he did it with an executive order, and then they made it more permanent, was to create energy independence in the United States. Well, how's that working out for us? Because we had an oil shock in the 70s. You kids today that are bitching about the price of gas have no idea what it was like to see people pushing their cars to a gas station because they were out of gas, and you were not allowed to fill up but every couple of days. And that price index for inflation, I read somewhere today, would be about $8 a gallon today. So we're still indexed for inflation, pretty reasonable for a price of gas, even though we don't like it, and it affects all of us. Especially, I burn a lot of diesel, and I've been trying to get used to it, but it's very expensive. So OPEC was around harassing the world. The United States tried to bob and weave, and there have been fits and starts where we outproduce. Well, now we're net exporting more natural gas and oil than we produce. that is helping hold the prices down, believe it or not, worldwide. And now there's been this development. And so I'm going to be watching this tomorrow. Here's what happened. I'm trying to decomplicate this so folks that don't follow energy economies can make sense of it. The UAE, which is the second largest producer in the world, they rival us and Saudi Arabia. It's really Saudi Arabia, us, and them have the biggest deposits. And UAE has always been part of OPEC. Well, they announced the other day they were, as of tomorrow, they are stepping away from OPEC. It may break up the cartel, and the reason is Saudi Arabia is the heavy in OPEC, and they control the prices through controlling production. Let me see if I can make sense out of that. Let's think about supply and demand for a minute. So what they do is try to control the supply with artificial production quotas or limits on all the other OPEC countries. So they'll get in a room, they all got their robes on, and they'll decide we're going to limit to this many barrels a day. Everybody stick to the plan. It's like a little union of oil countries. And UAE sitting over here going, wait a minute, my friend. I would like to pump all the oil I can pump right now. And why? Because this blockade that Iran put on is hurting the flow from both Saudi Arabia and UAE, in addition to Iran and Kuwait, by the way. So all these oil-producing nations in the Persian Gulf are having to abide by this, and UAE is sitting right there, and they've just developed a new pipeline that would run from the UAE. Nobody knew they were even doing this pipeline. Apparently, it's a $3 billion project. And I think that thing's going to go online tomorrow. That's why they picked this May the 1st date. Follow me here. So they get out of OPEC so they don't have to have a limit on what they can put through those pipes. And immediately, if they can get those pipes online tomorrow, this whole Strait of Hormuz thing almost becomes moot. They get the upper hand because they can pump all the oil they can pump through their own pipes down to the Gulf of Oman, just really bypassing the whole Persian Gulf, and put it right on the tankers and send it out, and Iran can't do a damn thing about it. So that cuts off Iran for decades to come to have this ability to choke their Arab neighbors from their distribution. Are y'all following me? Am I making sense? Be a whole lot nicer if I could draw you a map, but you just have to use your imagination of what the region looks like. But the good point is some markets are starting to think tomorrow we could start to see some positive effects on bringing the barrel price down because new supply is coming online. And I'm telling you, this oil that Iran's even pumped, they've been pumping and dumping oil for the length of this bombing campaign and then, of course, the economic blockade that followed the bombing. They don't have anywhere else to put it. It's believed their wells are going to crash because you can't stop pumping an oil well. I went through the engineering on that earlier in the week. It collapses the well in a number of ways: wax, sediments, other things getting into the stream, so to speak. And it takes forever to get those wells back online, if at all, if you ever let the flow stop. And they're going to have to completely stop and try to burn off the oil from some of these wells. So they're in trouble, and the UAE is making its move. They're taking over with the production, and that's even greater to keep it'll allow the world to just turn away from the United States, keeping a stranglehold on Iran until they cry uncle. And then the world goes back to somewhat normal production levels because this UAE deal. We'll see if it works. We'll see if physically they're actually pumping through that pipeline tomorrow, or they're just pulling out tomorrow, which begins them being able to change their output. The UAE just wants to they're going to make more money. These people are rolling in money like you can't imagine, but they're going to make even more because they can pump all the oil they want while the prices are where they are, while the world's asking for it. China will be sending boats straight to the UAE to buy this oil. We don't need it, but the rest of the world does, and they're in a good spot. The Iran's foolishness is giving UAE an opportunity right now, and that's relief for the rest of us when all this comes online. The Venezuelan oil fields are also close to coming back online. Some of those had to be reworked. We've had American companies down trying to help them with that. Since we got Maduro out of the way, that's all been positive. And then you've got one more situation today. For the first time in 7 years, a direct flight from Miami, Florida to Caracas, Venezuela took place. That's pretty cool. So we're freeing up, we're opening back up trade and tourism with Venezuela. The oil wells will be coming on soon. Their capacity to pump their oil is very difficult to get out of the ground. It's thicker, it's heavier, it's harder to refine, but it'll change the world's supply equation once that stuff comes online here in a few months. We've got all the advantages, and Iran just does not have, they're not rational enough, whoever's left in charge, to understand where they are. So they're going to starve themselves to death and just let it collapse. Good stuff. Floor Tech concrete coatings. Let me talk to y'all about this. If you've got a garage or a concrete floor of any type, you're just tired of looking at it looking dingy. Concrete's like a sponge, man. You drop oil on it, it's never coming out. You get paint in it. I've got a couple spots already that are driving me crazy in my barn. It's just things happen. If you're using it, things are going to happen. So one, you want to get rid of that discoloration. And two, once you do the Floor Tech product, you are protected against these spills. This stuff resists all that, and you can constantly keep it clean, make it look good, add some color and attitude and pizzazz to your either your personal garage or your professional space, even your retail build-outs. Now, here's the difference in Floor Tech. By the way, this is a locally owned and operated company. Floor Tech just has a better product. They did their own research. Kevin told me he's a serial entrepreneur. He has started several big-time companies, some of which you would know about. And he understood that this was a huge industry, but the product sucked. So many of these companies that go around and install these floor coatings are putting an inferior product. They may install it well, but it's inferior. It's going to pull loose. Hot tires, you get in off the road and roll into your garage and turn your tire a little bit, it's going to peel. And then the rest of it yellows in just a few months, and it completely changes color and character. Well, they wanted to know why, so they literally went in the lab and studied the products and figured out it was a lot of these products are thinned out by solvents. So you know what they said? They said, we can do this without putting solvents in it. We can have a pure product that's going to last. It'll last longer than you do. And they back it. They can even demonstrate to you, like they did for me, why their product is so good and why it's so durable. Take them up on it. Let them come out and give you an estimate and show you what they can do in your garage. You can pick your custom colors, even how much flake you want in those colors, and it'll just be exactly what you want. You'll be proud of that project if they do it at Floor Tech Concrete Coatings. By the way, it dries in 24 hours, and you don't have all this off-gassing and that nasty smell because they're not putting the cheap stuff in it. It's good stuff. It's the right mix. FloorTechCoatings.com. Let me spell that for you because they put a creative spelling on Floor Tech. Floor Tech, T-E-K, FloorTechCoatings.com. Reach out to them and get them to come give you an estimate. You'll be so proud of that project. FloorTechCoatings.com. All right, it's 3:57, Leland Live. Lord have mercy, let me correct myself. I was throwing out restaurants a second ago when I was talking about this Bajacas thing. And I threw one of my favorite restaurants of all time in Tzatziki's into the mix. I thought maybe they were connected. They are not. Keith Richards, who founded that thing from scratch. My buddy Gary tells me he's a listener to the show. He called in.
Yes.
Man, I wish we'd have kept him on the phone. I have had the salmon feast at Tzatziki's 1,000 times, at least 1,000 times. When we first started the show, we were a midday show, and every day I'd get off. I wouldn't eat lunch till 2:30 instead of 12:30. So I'd go to the one near me, and I'd sit there, and these two older ladies came in every day at the same time too. They were just late risers. AJ, we had a little lunch bunch. Eventually, I started talking to them one day because I was in there almost every day. Almost every day, I'd go there and eat the same thing because it's healthy. That is some good food. I went to Greece last year for the first time. I promise you that Tzatziki's is as authentic and tastes just as good. We've got some amazing Greek restaurants.
No, we definitely do, and I definitely love partaking some of that food from Tzatziki's.
Do not want to connect them. And that Friday special, I'll tell you about it too. They used to serve it on Friday, and they called it the Friday special. And then my boys played football at the time. They were on the high school football team, and the football players loved that meal. That was their pregame meal. They almost won the state championship on the Friday special. They would eat it before the games. They'd all go and get the Friday special and then go play their game that night. And I just thought it was cool. And every now and then I just go get it just because it reminds me of those days. That's a great restaurant. I did not mean to associate those two together. I'm glad they're still around.
Yes.
Now I'm craving. I probably know what I'm going to eat tonight. No, I'll probably hit the food trucks tonight. I guarantee I'll be sitting there eating my salmon feast tomorrow for lunch because it's on my mind now. Hey, y'all, Storm Restoration Roofing. We got more rain and storms. It's going to be rough on your roof the next few days. I saw one forecast that showed us we may get, as much as 5 to 9 more inches of rain the next couple of weeks. Those are computer estimates. We don't know. Rain does a number on it. Wind, hail, all kinds of things. Squirrel turds, stuff happens to your roof. Let my man, Greg Nelson at Storm Restoration Roof, be your roofer if you need a roof. Sometimes it's age. Sometimes it's damage. Either way, you got a solid pro that can give you the best of advice on your claims, on how to get it done, help you get things financed. And he knows this stuff. 10 kids in his family, and they all work in the roofing business. Greg Nelson, Storm Restoration Roofing. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531.